Alright guys, I want to apologize to you guys out there because we just had some technical difficulties there for a moment. Mike Bullock, let's just go right back to you. Just pick up right where you left off.
Alright, another thing with that rule, I mean, what we saw with Demolition, you never know if sometimes you would get Axe and Smash, or Axe and Crush, or Smash and Crush, or the same thing with the Spirit Squad. You never know which tag team which two guys you were gonna face. So, yeah, I pretty much touched on it. So, with that being said, I say we just move on.
Alright guys, and the next question that was asked by Matt Ward was, do you think that one of the members of the Shield is actually going to be a part of the Money in the Bank ladder match? Anthony Florio.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely. It's a toss-up between either Seth Rollins or Dean Ambrose, if I'm being honest. I think Reigns is a little too big for that fight, if I'm being honest. But I definitely won't rule him out, no doubt about it. But when you're talking Money in the Bank ladder match, you want the lighter guys, you want the more agile guys, if I'm being honest. And based on the body of work, if I have to pick one member to be in that match, I got to go with Seth Rollins. I mean, he's had some great aerial moments. I mean, he's got that devastating aerial maneuver that we once saw him do on Randy Orton. I remember that on a Monday Night Raw, where he jumped off and dove on Randy Orton, did this awesome leg drop move off the top rope, which is friggin' awesome. And of course, we all remember that infamous bump that he took at the TLC last December. That horrific bump, as we all remember. I mean, one of the sickest bumps maybe the sickest bump in the history of the PG era. No question about it. That's how sick it was, folks. And if you're going to pick one Shield member to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match, I got to go with Seth Rollins. So I'm going to say yes.
I have to agree with you, Anthony. Without a doubt, I think at least one of the Shield members will indeed be a part of it. I don't know who it's actually going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Rollins, Reigns, or Ambrose, whatever the case may be. I think whoever it's going to be is going to be dangerous, to say the very least. But I kind of feel like at this point, I think they're going to really want to emphasize them as tag team champions. And I'm not really sure if they're going to try to really push them that big. I mean, right now, tag team division is probably more in the cards than Money in the Bank, but I definitely think that if they do some way, somehow fail to capture the tag team titles, that yes, I think they'll actually be a part of the Money in the Bank ladder match, and then we'll just go from there. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Oh, yes, definitely. I'll definitely say yes to this one. I mean, it all depends on what happens with the tag team championship situation. I mean, if it is Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns that will turn out to be, I mean, if they turn out to win the tag team championship, I'd have to go with Dean Ambrose as the guy to compete in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Like I said, either go with him, or if they don't win the tag team titles, I'd have to go with Seth Rollins to be in it. I mean, like you basically said, we've seen some very good aerial moves from Seth Rollins, and especially that sick bump that he took during that TLC pay-per-view late in 2012. That was one of the sickest bumps I've ever seen, when his head literally hit the table. So I'll say yes to it, but the question is, which one? Is it Dean Ambrose or Seth Rollins? If I had to go with one of them, I think it would have to be Dean Ambrose in my case. So that being said, I say we just move on.
Alright, we will indeed move on, because the next question is, well, this is actually an Anthony Florio special. Alright, here it is. Will WWE bring back the old school blue steel cage for Extreme Rules when Triple H goes one-on-one with Brock Lesnar? Alright. The way I feel about this, it's more wishful thinking on the part of superfan Matt Ward. I'm sorry, Matt, I don't think so. I think WWE is really set on that silver style steel cage, with, the old school WCW type look that they've had back in the day, where you have the little special, I guess we could say, like that canopy type roof thing up on the top, which is wide open, that steel guarding that they use for light fixture guarding type at the top. I don't think they would go back old school with that, even though I think it would be great for it, to honor a little bit of the back of the day, but I just don't see it. I'm sorry, I gotta say no. Wishful thinking on your part on that, Matt. I'm sorry. No. Mike Bullock is yours.
Unfortunately, I gotta agree with you, but I mean, sorry, Matt Ward, it's wishful thinking. I mean, I definitely would like to see a blue steel cage back, but to me, the steel cage that we're seeing right now, I mean, it's very popular. I mean, I like this better, but don't get me wrong, the blue steel cage has had its moments, and I know Anthony will back me up on it. I think the greatest one that we ever saw with that blue steel cage was obviously from SummerSlam 1994, when it was Bret the Hitman Hart going up against Owen Hart for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. And of course, you also had the King Kong Bundy going up against Hulk Hogan for the WWE Championship in that steel cage at WrestleMania 2. So, it's had its moments, but to me, I mean, this wouldn't be the time to bring it back. So, sorry, Matt Ward, I'll say no on this one. So, Florida, it's yours.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with you guys. I'm going to have to say no here, too. I mean, I'd love to see it, of course. I mean, Bullock touched on the memory of it. Bret Hart, Owen Hart, 94 SummerSlam, 5-star classic, greatest steel cage match ever. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, that old school blue steel cage, I mean, the most iconic ones that I can remember, of course, Triple H and Mankind, SummerSlam 97, first fight of the night, as we all remember. Ultimate Warrior and Ravishing Rick Rude at the 1990 SummerSlam when they met for the title in the main event. Of course, Saturday night's main event, Hulk Hogan against Hulk Hogan against Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff in January of '87 in Hartford, and then one of the first steel cage matches with that old school cage that I can remember was, of course, Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania 2, which was the main event of that one. So, would I like to see it? Yes. Will it happen? No. That new school style steel cage with the fence, that silver fence style cage that we've seen and grown to love over the years. I mean, with that little backdrop on the top, yeah. That's the cage of nowadays. That's not going to change anytime soon. So, I would love to see it, but we have to think realistically here, folks. I gotta tell it like it is, like Jesse Ventura. I'm sorry, Matt. I hate to do it, but I gotta agree with my guys here. No. Move on.
All right, and we will move on to the next questions, and this was actually from also our super fans, Dee Dee Woodson and Kevin Woodson. They collaborated on this and gave us 4 questions, guys. And the first question they asked is, do you think we will ever get to the old school WWF back? Now, I'm assuming they're talking about, I guess, the end of the PG era. And they're talking way back in the day. We're talking about I guess like the 80s and early 90s pre-Attitude Era. Will we ever get back to that type of wrestling? Anthony, let me see. I believe it goes to, actually, Michael Bullock, you start us off with this.
Alright, would I like to see the old school WWF back from the 80s and 90s? I mean, we have seen it on the old school Raw that they had with the red, white, and blue ring ropes, and the referees wearing their old school referee uniforms. But to me, I mean, I do want to see it back, but to be honest, I have to be the man of honesty. I have to be the man who tells it like it is. I'm going to have to say no. I mean, I think we're going to be stuck in this whole PG era thing we see in WWE right now, and as the old saying goes, what you see is what you get. So I hate to say it, but I'm going to have to unfortunately say no to this one. I mean, and me being, well, even though I didn't follow wrestling until the early 90s, I used to like it when they used to have those old school ring ropes and referees in those old school uniforms, but to me, I don't think we're going to see it again, so I'm going to have to say no. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say no here, too. I mean, nobody out of the four of us want to see that more than I do, because, I mean, we have, that's what we grew up with. I mean, we grew up with the old school, World Wrestling Federation, all of the Golden Era and the Attitude Era, and of course the Ruthless Aggression Era in the WWE. I mean, but we all know why this PG stuff's been happening for the last several years. Two reasons: Chris Benoit and Linda McMahon. Linda McMahon's political career, that was one of the major catalysts behind it. And of course, you know, Chris Benoit, the whole thing with that, with the double murder suicide back in 2007. I mean, that was pretty much the first major reason why they went in this new initiative. Of course, the PG initiative also brought in some major vendors. So there's a lot of that behind it. You know, it's obviously for business reasons, obviously. I mean, the four of us, you know, including Derek Ferreira, we're old school wrestling fans. We're diehard old school wrestling fans who grew up watching competitive matches, more than solid pay-per-views. I mean, pay-per-views that were so damn fun to watch, that were like 8 to 9, flirting with 10 out of 10. I mean, we nearly had that this year at the Royal Rumble back in January. I mean, we all rated that 9.5 out of 10. That's how good that show was, folks. I mean, unreal. But the thing is with me, I really want to see, you know, I really want to see it come back. I really do. But unfortunately, you know, the Chris Benoit thing, that's gonna forever weigh heavily on WWE. Linda McMahon, as far as she goes, I don't know about her political career. That's the only other thing that I'm concerned about. But it's mainly the Benoit thing. That's the main reason why we're stuck with this nonsense. I mean, we all want to see it go away. I mean, it's been at the point of go away for like, what, 4 or 5 years now? I mean, we all want to see it go away. I mean, we would love to see the Attitude Era come back. I mean, me personally, selfish wish for me would be to bring back the Golden Era. I mean, like in the 80s, back in the good old days, you know, bring back the primetime wrestling. Bring back the Superstars of Wrestling, you know, Wrestling Challenge. Hell, bring back Saturday Night's Main Event and put it in the Saturday Night Live time slot, for crying out loud. That's what I want to see. That's what I grew up with when I was a little boy. And of course, I refer back to all the classic DVDs I have, you know, Saturday Night's Main Event, all these old school compilation sets. I mean, there's going to be some more old school compilation sets coming out. I mean, don't forget, they have an Attitude Era DVD set out. And I'm also pleased to announce that in September, there's a major release in September. You want to talk old school? How about a Best of War Games DVD, folks? Best of War Games in September 13th. Mark it on your calendars, folks. That's old school as it gets, right there. And as a matter of fact, memo to WWE, please give us a War Games match in the PG era. I know it's PG and whatnot, but bring back the old school War Games. That's my selfish wish, if I'm being honest. So, I want to see it. Honest to God, I do. Golden Era, especially. But is it ever going to happen? Dee Dee and Kevin Woodson, I love you guys, but I'm sorry. I got to say, unfortunately, no. We're going to be stuck in PG land forever and ever and ever. Enough said. Move on.
I'm just going to be short, sweet, and straight to the point. I'm sorry, guys, but it's a no for me as well. Alright, guys, the next question that they asked was, does Matt Hardy have a chance in hell in ever getting a WWE Legends contract? And I would refer that to Anthony Florio.
I'm going to have to say no here. I mean, if you haven't seen Matt Hardy, I mean, he is so out of shape. It's not even funny. The guy looks so lost out there. I mean, he's not as good as he once was. I mean, when him and Jeff were together with the Hardy Boys, I mean, they were fun to watch. We all know that. He did get a little bit of a nice push towards the latter end of his career, you know, in 2008, especially winning the United States Championship from MVP at the Backlash. And then, of course, later in that year at the Unforgiven, he won the ECW World title. Held that for a while. I believe Swagger was the one that took it off him. So, yeah. And then he had a brief little run in TNA, you know, as part of Immortal. That went like a lead balloon. And he's had as many personal problems as Jeff has in recent years. So, I mean, it would be a great story if he ever did come back. I would love to see him come back. I mean, I would love to see him, you know, I love comeback stories. I love redemption stories, underdog stories. You know that, Flex, more than anyone. So, as much as I want to see it happen for him, and I wish him nothing but the best, but too many personal problems, way too out of shape, getting up there in age. I'm sorry, I gotta say no on this one. Move on.
I can't see it either. Even though that, you know, he is getting his life back in order, actually just got engaged to a fellow wrestler named Ruby Sky, and if you have not seen her, boys, holy cow, is she amazing. Beautiful baby girl. Congratulations, Matt Hardy, on that. But as far as you go, Anthony, I totally agree. A Legends contract, I don't see it. I don't even know if the Hardy Boys is even worthy of Hall of Fame status for WWE. I mean, especially with, you know, as they're trying to keep a PG era, they did have their issues, especially Jeff had his issues with drugs, and had a major thing in his career about that. And Matt, well, I mean, it remains to be seen with him. Unfortunately, we'll wait and see what happens there, but I have to say no. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm going to make it unanimous here. I mean, I'll say no too. I mean, like Dixon said, he's got way too many problems. He's out of shape. I mean, as a diehard fan, I want to see him back, but me, as a man of honesty, I have to say no to this one. I mean, you pretty much touched on it, so let's just move on.
Alright, guys, this is going to lead to probably the most controversy of the night, and boy, did they provide it with this one. Do you think Lex Luthor will get in to the WWE Hall of Fame? Alright. If you go by the body of work, he is definitely Hall of Fame status. I mean, a former United States champion, former multi-time world heavyweight champion, especially in WCW. That's where he really made a big name for himself. He had a very good career. You know, started out as the narcissist Lex Luthor, then transitioned himself to Made in the USA Lex Luthor, and as everybody knows, he teamed up with the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith to make the tag team the Allied Powers, and was very good at that too. Then went back to WCW, became once again the heavyweight champion of the world, and his body of work was really, really, really good. However, outside of the ring is where he got himself into some big time trouble. A lot of people is holding him responsible for the death of Miss Elizabeth Hewlett, and he was also arrested for, like steroids and some prescription drugs that were illegal. And he really has had somewhat of a trying to fix his image, to say the very least, and has been not as easy as it can be. So it's one of those things where if you base it on his in-ring talent, he's Hall of Fame status. If it's outside of that, that's where you might run the problems. It's really a 50-50 toss-up to me, and I am right now on the fence. I don't know, to say the very least. Mike Bullock, I give it to you. Well, do you think Lex Luthor is worthy enough of being in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Whew. Man, oh man, this is really tough to decide. I mean, you said it. I mean, his body of work. I mean, like you said, when he was known as the narcissist, Lex Luthor. I mean, but then he turned out to be really good when he became the man made in the USA, Lex Luthor. I mean, he finished some really good matches there, and W were really good too. So, and of course, all the outside the ring problems, especially when near Miss Elizabeth when Miss Elizabeth passed away. So, I don't know. I mean, it's a toss-up for me, but for me, I'm just, you know, as Anthony Ford would say, I'm gonna have to give it a push and give it a pass on this one. So, I got nothing more to say on it. So, Anthony, if you're
the criminal, the personal stuff definitely weighs in. I mean, that's the main reason why Chris Benoit is not in the WWE Hall of Fame, because of what he did, the double murder suicide. We all know that. And I think it's because of that I'm sorry to say, Chris Benoit will never ever get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. As much as we all want to see it, based on his body of work, he should be in, if I'm being honest. But we're not talking about Chris Benoit, we're talking about Lex Luthor. I'm sure someday we'll talk about Chris Benoit, but as far as Lex Luthor goes, I mean, just like Chris Benoit, great body of work. More so in WCW than in WWE. Yes, he was a U.S. champion. He was also a tag team champion. Of course, won the World Heavyweight Championship on 2 occasions, once against Barry Windham in 1991, Great American Bash inside a steel cage. And then, of course, the other one, that unforgettable match against Hollywood Hulk Hogan on the 100th episode of Monday Nitro, August the 3rd of 1997. I watched that live, and I'll be honest with you, when he won that belt, I marked out like a crazy man, because I did not think that was going to happen. I had Hogan winning that fight, but when Luger won that belt, man, wow. I mean, not only did I sit there and stand there in awe watching that, but in my head, I was marking out like a crazy man. I'm like, oh my God, Lex Luger beat Hogan. He won the belt. Unbelievable. That to me, and you all know that is forever going to be my all-time favorite Lex Luger moment, based on his awesome career. WWE, he started out as a narcissist. The Made in the USA thing, I mean, here's the thing with that. SummerSlam 1993 against Yokozuna, plain and simple. You guys know where I'm going with this. He should have won the belt. Plain and simple. I mean, it's a damn shame that he didn't win the belt that night or at WrestleMania 10. It didn't matter to me, but there was a possibility that Vince was going to push him as the next Hulk Hogan. That did not happen, but I mean, I wanted to see it happen, but it didn't happen. And then, of course, all that personal stuff, you know, a lot of people, and I do know, yes, a lot of people do consider him the man responsible, the one responsible for the untimely death of Miss Elizabeth. You all know my love affair with Miss Elizabeth by now. I don't even have to tell you that story. Of course, you want to talk about another one who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. There's another one right there, Miss Elizabeth. Let's not kid ourselves based on her body of work. First Lady, hello. I mean, why isn't she in the Hall of Fame? But then again, the same can be said for so many other guys, but, you know, we don't have time to do all that, but I know another day we will, but right now, as far as Lex Luger is concerned, if I had to base it on the body of work and his in-ring career, I would have to say yes, mainly because of his WCW work, but let's face it, personal problems, the more work problems are, the worse your chances are of getting into the WWE Hall of Fame, because let's remember, Chris Benoit, he ain't ever going into the Hall of Fame. That's never, ever going to happen. Even though we are a forgiving society at times, Chris Benoit is never going into the Hall of Fame. What he did, that double murder-suicide, way too heavy, way too extreme. He's never going to get in. As much as we all want to see him get in, he's never getting in. But Lex Luger, based on that, do I want to see him go in? Absolutely. I would love to see it happen. I think he deserves to be there. But realistically, do I see him getting in? Rocky relationships, too many personal issues, and of course the Miss Elizabeth thing, that's the nail in the coffin. I gotta say, reluctantly, no. Wrap it up.
And the last question that was asked by Dee Dee Woodson and Kevin Woodson was, do you think the Shield will ever lose in a match. We're going to take it for a spin, and we're going to give it to Michael Bullock.
All right. Do I ever see the Shield losing a match? I mean, with the way they're going right now, I mean, it's tough to say no. I mean, because their body of work has been amazing. I mean, they've been undefeated since they came to WWE. So, to me, I'm gonna say yes, but a little bit reluctantly. I mean, the undefeated streak's gonna have to come to an end at some point. When? I'm not quite sure. Sometime this year, maybe sometime next year. I'm not quite sure. I mean, because the Shield is just so good right now, and then, like I said, they're going to get their title shot at Extreme Rules, and they're going to win the belt, and have a nice long course as the tag team champions. So, I'll say yes as of right now, but heck, if they keep winning, I don't think we may ever see them losing anytime soon. So, for me, I'm going to give it a slight bit yes on this one. So with that being said, Anthony, it's yours.
I'm going to say yes, too. It's not going to last forever. Nothing lasts forever. We all know that. And all good things must come to an end. Shield will lose eventually. I just don't know when. The only realistic time I can see it happening is if they do win the Tag Team Championship, when they lose the Tag Team Championship. That would be the most realistic scenario I could see for them for a loss right now. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to say yes, they will lose at some point. The only thing is, we just don't know when. So with that said, Flex, let's wrap this up.
All right, and indeed, I do agree with that. Yes, they will lose sooner or later. It's not a matter of if, but when they lose. And that's definitely, without a doubt, the way that we're going to do it. And we'll close it with that. It's been a very stressful night. It's been a very long night for all three of us, trying to get the show done, but we did it. We navigate through it. Thank you guys so much. Shout out time. Mike Bullock, take it.
All right. First off, special shout out to all of our great fans and viewers out there who continue to support our show. Whether it is the Wrestling Forum or Strictly Sports, it doesn't matter. We appreciate it. And of course, only the positive comments, no haters, or of course you'll get the Cody Boynes treatment. So shout out to our superfan D.D. Woodson, who continues to show us love and support on Facebook and Twitter, and hope everything's going well for you back in Ohio. To our other superfan, Matt Ward, and of course our friends from our high school days, including Tom Souza, another original member of our brotherhood. We definitely want to get him on. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. I'm going to save the rest of my shout-outs Friday night for Strictly Sports until Friday night at 8:30 for an all-new edition of Strictly Sports, where I already said I'm going to go on a major rant on Friday night because it's on these Toronto Maple Leaf fans, though, because I saw on WWE's Facebook page, and, ever since the whole Boston Marathon bombings, when they had the phrase, Boston Strong, well, I saw on WWE's Facebook page, and they had a sign saying Toronto Strong, and to me, I find it a little bit insulting, but I'm gonna rant on these Toronto fans for doing something like that. I mean, but I'm just gonna save it for then. So until Friday night at 8:30 for an all-new edition of Strictly Sports. This is Mike Bullock for Mike Fletcher, for Anthony Florio, saying thank you everybody for listening tonight. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Roll up 4 style. Bye for now. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. So with that being said, Anthony, let's get to your shout-out.
Yep, and I'm going to make mine short and sweet. Shout out to all of our fans out there who continue to make this show what it is today. We can't do it without you. You all know that. Super fans, D.D. Woodson and Matt Ward. Of course, D.D. Woodson and her husband Kevin, we appreciate the yes or no questions very much. Great questions, by the way. Very good job on that. So major shout out to all of you folks. Hopefully all is well with you all down there in Ohio. Of course, Matt Ward, our other big super fan, we appreciate your questions tonight. Good ones from you as well. And of course, all of our fans who sent in the questions tonight, very good questions to say the very least. So, no question about that. I think we should definitely do this again in the near future. No doubt about it. Our friends from our high school days, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Rob Parsons, Al Bradison, our other insider, Jason Hicksonball, shout out to him as well. And, and a shout out to, of course, our grand poobah, Derek Ferreira, who couldn't be with us tonight. But Derek will be back with us on Friday night for Strictly Sports. And speaking of the Strictly Sports, I too got wind of that little thing that Bullock mentioned about the Toronto Strong thing. And Bullock, you're not alone. I'm going to join you on that rant. So maybe, just maybe, we could get another 5-star Tony rant out of this one. You remember how nuts I went a few weeks ago with the whole Boston thing? Well, watch out, boys. Nothing left to say about that. So, and of course, I'll save the rest of my shout-outs for Friday night on Strictly Sports. Long day for me. I got to get going here, so that'll do it for me. So until Friday night at 8:30 for an all-new edition of Strictly Sports, Anthony Floyo saying, the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Road up, Fortune Forest, Kyle. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. And as my all-time favorite game show host, the great Jim Perry, always used to sign off on Sailor Century. Bye for now.
And as always, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I know this was not the way that we were going to do it. This was a little more of a makeshift type situation, but we did it. It's done. We have pulled through. Friday night is an all-new episode of Strictly Sports. Derek Ferrero will be your host. They will be covering the NHL playoffs. We will be covering the NBA playoffs, and then, of course, the NBA, the Major League Baseball power rankings will also be here as well, and that will be at 8:30 Eastern on Friday night. Please check your area because of the fact it'll either be on SLB 2008-09 or Legal Issues 1, the pages of Derek Ferrera. That is it for tonight. I am Michael Fletcher. So, for Mike Bullock and Anthony Florio, thank you so much for listening tonight. We'll see you on Friday night. Hugs and hand pounds. I am out. Good night, and we will see you on Friday. So long for now.